But yay, oh my God, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I knew I would like these movies, but Emmy, I loved these movies. Oh my gosh.
They're kind of more like horror comedies, like, especially
Yeah.
like as they go.
Oh yeah.
And they're like they're different from because I love the original Halloween.
Yeah.
I love all the Halloween, well, most of the Halloweens. I love most of the Friday the 13th movies, but it's like the Nightmare on Elm Street ones are different
Yeah.
because they're a little bit more comedic. Although the Friday the 13th movies do get kind of goofier as they go
Yeah.
along too.
Like I was loving all the like dreamy like sequences of him creeping into the real world. But then when he's like finally showing himself to Tina, like in the dream where he kills her, and he's like doing this, and his arms are really long, and he's just like, woo, like he's having so much fun.
This is God.
Those parents tried to kill him
Yeah.
and like ruin his life, but now he's just living his best life. Like
Listen,
now I get to live in dream world.
before I had to just actually like do the work and stab them, like now I can like torture them a little bit with like weird special effects. I can like get creative with it. Like he was getting so artsy with it. Oh, when he killed Johnny Depp, I was like, you could
Oh,
have
yep.
never done that if you were still alive.
He's just kind of boring in here. He's
He's
just like generic
yeah.
teen
He
boy that doesn't believe his girlfriend.
I know. I thought he was really annoying. He was just like making fun of them the whole time. He's like, "Why is
Yeah.
she even freaked out?" And it's like, "'Cause it was really scary. Like, can you just be her friend? Like, Jesus." And then Nancy's like clearly distressed, and I'm like, "Are you gonna break up with this guy?" She was like, "The one thing I asked you to do."
You bastard.
What'd I do?
I just asked you to do one thing. Just stay awake and watch me, you shit. You fell asleep.
And he
For
couldn't
like
even do
15
that.
minutes.
I know. She's like being murdered, and he still didn't believe her.
But I do have to say, like, his death in this movie is fucking hilarious.
Oh my
Because he
God, I
gets, like,
loved it.
his bed eats him,
I
and then,
loved
like,
it.
instantly fucking regrets it and spits him out. Like, you fucking
Exactly.
gross. What the hell did I just put in my mouth? Which I feel like anybody who puts Johnny Depp in their mouth, like, people have had to, like, blow him, right? That's probably the
Yes.
thought they
Ugh. And then I just loved it because I was so mad at him. I was like, how he's being so obnoxious. He's like blasting music and watching TV. And then his mom is like, why are you doing that? Like, and he's like, oh, because like Miss America or whatever is going to be naked. And then she's like, okay, like, why would you say that to your mom, first of all? But then she tries to give him an out and she's like, well, don't you want to hear what she has to say? And he's like, oh, who cares what they have to say? I'm like, yeah, he literally has no redeeming qualities. And then the audacity of his parents, too, when his dad was like, I don't want that kid hanging out with our kid. I'm like, you think any kid even wants to be around Johnny Depp? Like, you think he has the right to choose? And then he got eaten, and I'm like, well, maybe you should have let her talk to him, and then he would still be alive instead of a puddle of juice. And then the all the cops' reactions and the coroner, they're like, he's been puking since he saw it. I'm like, what do they think even happened?
His mom walks in, like, as the bed's, like, spitting him back out on the ceiling, so
I
it's like,
know.
she knows, like, the bed was, like, shooting blood in
Yeah.
here.
Oh my God, when Freddy Krueger was like, I'm your boyfriend now, like,
Like,
so
Freddy just
funny.
has so much personality.
He does.
Which, like, we've talked about how we like Michael Myers and
Yeah.
Jason, but they don't talk, so,
Yeah.
like, they kind of have a little bit of personality, but Freddy talks, so he has, like,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of personality.
Like, you know what he's thinking, you know he's having a good time, like, he laughs at them. I just think it's the funniest thing ever. He's got a style. Like I thought it was so funny when they're
Yeah.
like, he has a really dirty sweater. I'm like, that's what you took away? Like they kept mentioning how dirty his sweater was.
I dreamed about a guy in a dirty red and green sweater.
I'm like, I feel like the more important thing is his like fingernail hands and his burned up face. But
Yeah.
yeah, his clothes were dirty, I guess, is the defining factor.
That's all that Nancy cares about.
I know. She's like, ew,
I
do
was
your
almost
laundry.
murdered by somebody that was wearing a fucking dirty sweater.
His
He couldn't even
sweater.
like wash
It was gross.
And I just think that they casted Freddy like perfectly. I don't
Perfectly.
think anyone other than Robert Englund could have played him. I read his book,
Right.
which I have right here.
Ah.
And Wes Craven has an introduction in there, and he was talking about how when he showed up for the interview or like to audition for Freddy,
Uh-huh.
he was like, when you first saw him, he's like, oh, this guy can't be Freddy because he's way too young.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then he was like, but then during the audition and like we were talking and he just got Freddy, like he just understood him so well and how like he's kind of funny,
Yes.
sadistic. He's like, I just had to cast him. And I think that was a good choice because with all the fucking makeup
Yeah.
and like prosthetics to make him look burned, you can't fucking tell.
Freddy had this like energy that like an older person maybe couldn't have captured the same way. Like this
Yeah.
youthful joy. Yeah, like how old was he when he died, you know? Like who even cares? I never even thought
Yeah.
about it. I just assumed he was like an older guy killing kids and everyone was like, "How dare
Yeah.
you? Like stop that." They burned him up, which I honestly when I found that out, I was like, "Come on. You can't just go burning everyone who you think should be in jail. Like that's a little crazy."
Mom is
Uh-huh.
so fucking stupid and
Which one?
annoying.
Because they're all stupid and
Oh,
annoying.
I mean, all of them, but Nancy's mom especially.
Oh my God, I couldn't
Like
stand her.
when Nancy pulls that hat out of her dream, and then she shows it to her mom, and then her mom's like, "Can't get you, like mommy killed him," and it's like, well, she didn't just fucking find that hat, like
I know, I thought when she pulled the
laying around.
hat out of nowhere and had like the cuts on her arm, that they'd be like, okay, like maybe we can explain away the cuts, but the hat? Like, where did the hat come from? I know that wasn't up your ass. Like, where was it? Because she's laid out like in a sleep study clinic or something. Then her mom was like, oh, like I'm throwing. She was like, I threw the hat away. I screamed. I was like, your husband or your ex-husband or whatever is literally a cop. He has access to the best forensics in like the 90s, which I guess still wasn't very good. But they could have done something with that hat. She's like, I threw it out. And then she didn't even throw it out. She kept it. So she's a liar. This is funny. I'm just drawing like Freddy's jawline right now before I get into the details. And he actually just looks like really cute. He's got great
But
bone
like,
structure. Michael walked in while I was watching the third one. And they were setting him on fire again. Or whatever. And I was like, it's kind of mean how they keep burning this guy. Like, give him a break. Like, leave him alone. Was it the third or fourth one that starts with, I think it's Kristen, and she's like dreaming about the house, and she sees a little girl, and the little girl goes in the house on her fucking tricycle.
I gotta go now.
Wait, little girl, don't go in there!
And she follows her. Like, if it was me, dream or not, I would just be like, I don't know that kid. I don't know that house. She can do what she wants. I would keep it moving. Like, I'm not chasing some strange kid into a strange house.
I also like how as it goes on, he starts really becoming kind of like Scarecrow from Batman, but like of the dream world because he like
Yes.
starts killing kids like with their fear.
Yes. He like learns and adapts and gets creative. Like the progression of his murders from the first to second movie is impressive.
And can we just say, I know we're kind of skipping around, but we
Yeah.
just kind of do that all the time anyway.
Yeah.
In the third and fourth one, there's like the pervy character Joey. And can we just point out that this fucking character does not evolve at all? Like, he does not learn his lesson.
I know.
Freddy fucking traps him in the same fucking
Freddy was like, I
in
don't even
both
have to
movies.
try.
I could
Same
just pretend
thing.
to be a hot chick who's topless, and this fucking idiot's gonna be like, yep, I'm going for that.
I mean, boobs are amazing, but I'm not falling for that twice.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's
come
like
on.
when the first time you almost die, like you have to be like, nope, you can't fool me twice.
You think you would develop a little bit of skepticism, like, hold on. Yeah. Emmy and I were ranting about this a little bit earlier. Like, we both appreciate a movie that gets you thinking. Like, we love those things. We're smart people, but not every
Yeah,
single movie that you watch has to be like that. Like, we watch movies, if you want to get smarter, like, there's other ways to do that. Like, we read books, we go to school, you go
yeah,
online, you take classes. I teach classes now. Like, sometimes you just want to watch a movie and enjoy yourself because the world is
yeah.
shit and we're all going to die at some point. Like, when they put you in your grave, no one's going to give a shit if every single movie you watched was like intellectual.
Well, and like I told you, Robert Englund actually has like a little thing where he talks about that at the end of his book. He's like, I think some people just take cinema too seriously,
Mm,
and they're like, I don't want to watch this like movie because it's not intellectual. And it's like most movies are made to entertain you. Not every single one is fucking Schindler's List.
yeah. And
Well, he didn't say that. That's just my example. People aren't watching Nightmare on Elm Street thinking it's gonna be some big intellectual movie. Some people
exactly.
just want to be entertained, and you're ruining something that's just meant to be fun.
Yeah, like it's okay for things to just be fun. And I remember like when I was in art school and I had to take a bunch of film classes, like I liked most of the movies we watched. There were some that I really hated, but what I noticed was like the film majors never seemed to enjoy the movies. They always just seemed kind of miserable, and then at the end they'd be talking about it and I'm like, "Did you even like it?" And they're like, "Well, the symbolism in the first scene with the gray t-shirt." And I'm like, "Who cares?"
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
And
Emmy and I have connected because we both like those kind of movies, but then we both also like silly movies like these. Like it's
yeah, we
balance.
just like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
In the first one, I know in the original script, Freddy was more overtly like a child molester,
Ooh.
but there was like a scandal with a school like before they started making it, and they're like, you know what, let's just leave that out of the script.
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
He'll just be a murderer. Like, because yeah, most fucking killers, they say, like,
Yeah.
assaulted their victims. So sure, he probably would be in real life. But I don't want to think about that.
I know, like because murder is fun. Murder as a plot device. Don't come for me, police. It's fun. When
Yeah.
it's just like a weirdo murderer, it's more silly.
If you noticed when you were watching the gay subtext, didn't you? Like, people have been speculating for years, about like 10, 15 years ago, the writer finally admitted, like, yeah, I wrote it to be like gay subtext. Like, Freddy's supposed to represent Jesse's fear of coming out.
Oh.
That's why, like, he goes to that like gay bar and he has like gym teacher, and like it's like the whole thing where he's getting like whipped naked in the
Yeah,
shower.
that was very
So it's like he doesn't seem to be very into Lisa,
not at all.
and Lisa's like obsessed with him for
For
some
no
reason.
reason. I did not get it. I was like,
And
girl,
like
take a
this
hint.
this kid just moved here. Like, what were you doing with your life before?
I'm saying I was actually confused about how she had such a crush on him. I was like, is he maybe not new to the neighborhood and they just switched houses? Because, like, how is she already this obsessed? Like, he's like, I'm really going through something. I'm struggling. My mental health is failing. There's a lot going on.
Do you want to talk about it?
I wish you would talk to me.
Can I please come in and talk to you? Jesse, why won't you talk to me?
And then she takes him to the boiler room. She's like, do you feel anything? He's like, and she's like, I think you just have a connection. And it's like, girl, I don't want to have a connection to this. Shouldn't we go anywhere else? She's like, this is where they killed him. Like, I don't want to be here.
And then there's like that scene where they're like making out at her party, and then people always point out like
Yeah.
he gets like bothered by it, and then
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna go over to my like guy friends.
Yes, what a good point.
And there's
Ugh.
like this scene when Freddy first like shows up in his dream, and he's like talking to Jesse, and he's like, you've got the body, I've got the brain, and it's like
Yeah.
supposed to be kind of like a seduction thing.
Ooh.
I obviously didn't catch on to it the first time either, because first time I saw it I was a kid,
Right.
and then I read about that as an adult, and I'm like, that makes so much sense.
It does. So
Yeah.
that adds a lot to it. And explosion, yes, it is never a good sign when someone likes you that much, because she probably doesn't even know his middle name. It's like these people meet
Yeah.
you and they put you on some weird pedestal where they know nothing about you, and she wouldn't even let him express himself or be himself. Like every time he tried to set boundaries, she would be mad at him.
I also, in addition to reading Robert Englund's book to prepare for this, I also watched the documentary called Scream Queen.
Ooh.
It's about the guy that played Jesse, like his whole experience with this movie, because he was a closeted gay actor at the
Ooh,
the
the spice. Well, so did the writer know that when he wrote this
No.
movie? Oh, wow.
Well, okay, so the writer wrote it, and then they like casted it,
Uh-huh.
and then
Oh, yeah, duh.
people, they were like, oh, like this movie was super gay. This was in the middle of the AIDS epidemic. Like
Uh-huh.
gay people were just like horribly fucking treated.
God.
So the writer was like, oh no, I didn't write it like that. Like you're just getting that from the cast. And so this guy was like
Oh,
very upset.
yeah.
Because he's like, I
Outed.
wasn't like, yeah. Like he mentions, he's like, I go to conventions now. And that's always the first thing people ask me, like, what was it like to be an openly gay actor in the 80s? He's like, I wasn't. He was also saying they were starting to have, like, studios would start having rules where you had to take, like, blood tests
Oh,
before
gosh.
you could get, like, officially given a role, because they didn't want you to have HIV.
How is that
and
allowed?
I don't,
What
because I
about
guess they
HIPAA?
didn't have, I guess they didn't have as many fucking rules about that back then, because it was such a new thing.
HIPAA wasn't even passed until 1996. I did not know that it was that new.
In this documentary, he was asking all the people involved, like all the actors, he's like, when did you know that it was a gay movie?
Uh-huh.
And every single fucking actor said, when I read the script.
Uh-huh.
Except for the fucking bitch that played Lisa. She was like, oh, I didn't get it.
Of course she didn't. Oh my God, they cast her perfectly. Of course she didn't. She was like, this is a love story between me and
Yeah.
Jesse.
Because
Whoa.
Robert Englund, like, he mentions it in his book too, but he also mentioned it in the documentary. He was like, yeah, I noticed, like, right away when I was reading it. He's like, that's part of why I was so down to do it, because that was
I
just
love
such an
that.
interesting thing.
And that scene where Jerry is like transforming and he's screaming and the eyeball is in the back of his throat.
Yeah.
That was sick. Like, I loved that scene. That was fucking,
Yeah.
that was amazing. Like, some of the visual things that they did for it being like the 80s or whatever was like stunning.
I think too, especially when you learn about the like gay subtext and all that, like I think
Mhm.
that's more interesting to talk about than the subtext in 3, which is basically science bad, God
Yeah,
good. Like,
yeah. I was so surprised at how not open the scientists were. They were like,
Yeah.
no, like we as scientists have settled on one thing and we're not interested in testing it. It's like that's not what science is. If we wanted to make these movies deep, like I was cuz after the third and fourth one, I was like am I way overthinking these movies because I started getting really into it because the adults were like belittling and not listening to their kids. I was like,
Yeah.
it just reminded me of being a teenager and like when you're trying to tell your parents like that you don't feel well or that you're like depressed and they're like, how can you be depressed? You have a house. And it's like,
Yeah.
it reminded me of that. I was like, is this a metaphor for like the way the older generation doesn't respect the younger generation and like they're
And that's
not
definitely like a
trusted?
part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
The God thing. I was
Mhm.
specifically talking about 3 because it's like there's that
Yeah.
old doctor that's like, we don't do like
Yeah.
hippie drugs. We
Yeah.
only do like science drugs,
We
and I
don't
don't
do
believe in anything.
I know. I thought I got that vibe too. It was very like
And then yeah, that
sciences are mean.
there's like the nun that's like, if you believe in science and not God, like
Ugh.
you're
I didn't
screwed.
even understand why there were nuns. Like I said, I was just sitting there drawing and then I looked up and there's nuns. I was like, where did you guys
Yeah.
come from?
I think it's really just they were like,
Yeah.
we need something new to
Another
go with
hook.
Freddy, the bastard
Well,
son of
so
100
yeah.
maniacs.
Like, okay, but what about his mom? Like, what did she do?
Yeah.
She's a nun. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't he be like super Jesus-y? Like, I don't know. Maybe the nun is like it's the nun half of him that made him evil.
And
Ugh.
here they have Nancy come back, and she is so much better than she was
And
in part 1, even though she didn't suck in part 1,
no, she
but
didn't.
it's like she evolved into like a stronger person.
I
Her acting
loved.
got better.
Yeah. I loved that her character came back cuz I'm like this is what you always want is to see the like
Yeah,
for someone who's been there and who knows what's happening to come back and help the other ones and it was such a good
yeah.
balance because she wasn't like overpowered or like a total savior or anything, but she was fighting for them.
Because I also feel like so many times when they bring these like women back, they're not as strong. They're all like conquering their fears as
Yeah.
well. And I hate to say this because I love Halloween, but it's like when they bring Jamie Lee Curtis back to play Laurie like 20 years later, and it's like she's running away from Michael. It's nice to see that like Nancy was like, no, I'm gonna like go to school, I'm gonna learn
Yeah.
about all this shit, and then I'm gonna come and like help other people that are dealing with the same shit I did, and I'm gonna believe them. Can we also, just to backtrack a little bit, can we point out how fucking weird it is that her alcoholic mom has booze bottles hidden all over their fucking
Mhm.
house?
I was like, well, first of all, we'll never be able to relate because we'll never have to hide our drinking from children.
Yeah.
But then it defeats the purpose even more because she's like a boozy, like she's always drunk. So it's like
Yeah.
you can't hide that you're that drunk. Like I know you're drunk. So what is the point of you hiding it?
Well, and it's like she's pulled that shit out of everywhere. Like she has that fucking towel
That one
closet
cracked me
open
up.
and she's like pulling it out of like the pile of towels, and
The
it's like,
cabinet
why?
of
Yeah.
towels that she pulled that handle out of killed me. I'm like just keep it in like under the sink or something. Oh my god, that
Or in
cracked
your
me up.
room.
That crack in your room. There's not oh my god, that cracked me up so much. I was like, why is she doing that? Like I really don't understand parenthood. I was also surprised to see Nancy though cuz they said in the second one that she had like gone crazy
Yeah,
and
well, I think that was kind of supposed to be because, like, Glenn's parents thought she was crazy.
but
Even her
then
own fucking parents thought she was crazy.
oh my god,
So I assume that's why, but I don't know.
and then Lisa reading her diary. She was like, "What's this?" Just Lisa. We have to talk about Lisa for a second. Lisa just showing up at this guy's house, getting car rides from him when she's just met him, criticizing the way he starts his car. Won't
Yeah.
someone steal your car? Like, worry about yourself. And then coming over while he's trying to clean his room. What normal person?
That's the weird fucking thing because he didn't even tell her, like, he told her when she showed up, like, oh, I'm just cleaning my
Yeah,
room.
and she
It's just-
stayed. But like going through someone's clothes and like putting them
Yeah,
away is so invasive. She
yeah,
just is putting, I'm like, he's never gonna find anything because he's
yeah.
unpacking and she's just shoving shit. And then this is what started me on this. She finds a diary, asks him, "What's this?" But then she just starts reading it. I'm like, you guys are busy right now. He has to unpack. Like, can you read it later?
This isn't Lisa related, but I do have to point out that his dance he's doing before
Yeah.
before she shows up, that is like one of the, according to that documentary, that's one of the fan favorites.
It was such a great dance. I loved his whole outfit. And then I just felt for him too because if I'm cleaning my room and I'm dancing and then someone comes in, like that ruins the vibe, you know? Like he had
Yeah.
something going there and then she just is like, "I'm here."
Fucking, like, is she also crazy because of her parents? Because her parents, she's like 15 or whatever, and her
Uh-huh.
parents let her have a party,
Yeah.
and her parents are like, just make sure everybody's gone by 12:30 in the
Yeah.
morning. Like,
I,
my parents would not let me be
the
having a fucking
way the
party
way that
until
I was
12:30.
stunned, I was like, is this what parents were like? Because my parents were like, if you are out past 5 p.m., everyone will think you're a prostitute. So, like, I don't understand this ability to, like, have, like, orgies at your pool and your parents are just totally chill with it. It was making me laugh when Freddy was at the party and he was just, like, running around stabbing people and laughing. He's like a kid in a candy store. He's just like running around. And like I liked him in this movie too because he would just like break things. Like he would just like knock stuff off tables and like he was flipping chairs. The way that they introduced Freddy too, because like normally like when people are talking about Jason, like they're telling a scary story, and when people are talking about Michael, they're like, oh my god, he's this crazy guy. But when they're talking about Freddy, there's like no, there's a little fear. They're like he's kind of creepy, but then they like get so obsessed with his outfit, like, and it's just so real. It's like these two teenage girls and like, yeah, his sweater was so dirty, and then the girl's like,
Well, what about the fingernails? Actually, they were more like finger knives or something he'd made himself.
just like roasting him. They're just like, oh, he has this dumb hand glove thing, like he made himself. What a loser.
Yeah, like his parents can't even afford to buy him.
Yeah, his parents couldn't even get him his own murder glove. Tina's boyfriend, when she was getting murdered, was like just the most useless person I'd ever seen in my life. Like, literally, like he knew someone was under the covers, and I thought that he would jump on the person to like try to tackle them or something. But he just like got out of bed and like moved away and was like, "Tina." And it's like, do you think Tina's going to answer you right now? Like she's being murdered.
In part 3,
Uh-huh.
the girl that like still like burned herself with cigarettes
Oh yeah.
to stay awake. Her death is our first Freddy bitch, which becomes a pretty popular thing among the rest of the
Oh.
movie.
What is that?
Like when he's taunting these people because like before he
Oh.
smashes her through the TV, he's like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." And it's like, so that became his new thing where he'd say like bitch at the end.
It's just so funny. Like I just love how much he like hates these kids. Like he's never even met them and he just like passionately hates them and makes fun of them. Oh my gosh, it was so weird in that movie when like all of their souls, I guess, like flew out into the night sky. It was just so strange. I felt like I was watching like Rudolph or something. Like it was just so like Christmassy and like they're like, "Ah, we're free, yay!" And I was like, should we let those souls just like out into the sky? Like, is that safe? Like, where are those going? Oh my god, no, Lisa just blew my mind. I couldn't believe how stupid she was. It's like she wasn't even aware that she was in a horror movie. She thought she was in like Sense and Sensibility or something. Oh my gosh,
Jesse,
explosion.
fight it.
Yeah, she's like, she didn't do anything. Like, she left, followed him to the boiler room, and I thought she was gonna try to help. Like, all the other girls, like, fight in some way, or they bring a weapon, or they learn. Like, she just walked in with her, like, crystals and her horoscope, and she was like, fight it, babe, love you. Jesse.
Jesse.
Oh.
And the dad didn't even get better in part 3 because he like also came back for part 3. And she's like, you've like been horrible to me. I need you to like do me this one thing, like
One
go
thing.
dig up Freddy's body. And he's still like tried fucking screwing her boyfriend / friend
I
whenever he
know.
was over.
Like, I get that he thought Nancy was just like sleep deprived and a little dumb, but she was like, "Will you please be here in 20 minutes?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." I'm like, "Can't you just be there? Like, it's your daughter. Like, there's 1,000 other cops right now, and the coroner is throwing up anyway, so you're not going to be solving this murder tonight."
Yeah, and then like even in the third one, he's not like even any better. He's like worse.
He's so much worse. Because I thought after the first movie, like the way it ended, he would be like, okay, like that was some spooky shit. Like something, my daughter was right. And then you get to the third movie and he's just like, Nancy, she's stupid. Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger's gone. Blah, 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 blah.
My ex-wife got like sucked into the bed and died. Like I know she's an alcoholic, but I don't think that's something that normally happens to alcohol.
No, that doesn't happen. You don't just.
Like she was set on fire too. I forgot about that. She was set on fire because Freddy's like, I'm taking some other bitch down with me.
As he should. I mean, they set him on fire. It's only fair.
And I need the one that's fucking constantly drinking because I know she's going up in
Oh,
flames.
yeah, she is flammable. I hate to, well, I don't hate to admit it, but I was a little happy for him when he got her.
I do also, I guess, to bring it back to Freddy.
Right.
I want to, because we were talking about Nancy's parents.
Uh-huh.
And like how smart Nancy is because she just like in the first one and even in the third one kind of, it's like she's just so proactive. She's not like, I'm just trying to get away from this guy. She's like, I want to take this fucker down.
Yes.
But
I
then
know.
at the fucking end, after they think they killed Freddy,
Uh-huh.
they know they're still in the dream world. And her dad shows up and he's like, I'm dead, but I just wanted to come say goodbye.
I
And
know.
she fucking falls for it. And it's like, you know you're in the dream world.
I could not believe that she fell for that. I was like, do you really think that your dad, first of all, is going to be that nice?
Crossed over, princess.
Crossed over.
Like, you're in the dream world. You're not in the afterlife. And she just went for it. I was so sad. I really thought she was going to make it.
And she like goes and runs over to hug him. And then Freddy's like, got you, bitch.
I know. That was so funny.
Kristen saying they're like crying. And it's like, well, you're not helping her. Like,
I know.
she's bad. I'm gonna dream you into a beautiful place. And it's like, okay, Damon. Like,
I know.
I would rather get cured, but you know, I guess
know.
I'll just die here. That's fine.
I know, like in your arms, that strange teenage girl.
And then they end with her funeral, and then Freddy's mom shows up, just
Right.
sad, insulted.
Oh, look at how sassy he is. Like, literally, he just does this all the time. These are the baby souls that he draws power from. What are our final thoughts?
I think you should watch all of them, but you should at least watch the 4 that we were talking about. I think those ones are at least fairly good.
Totally.
The next ones, some of them aren't that great, but they still have Freddy in them. You should read Robert Englund's book. It's called Hollywood Monster.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally second that. These movies were so much more fun than I was expecting. It's nice having, like, I like the silent killers, but having a killer who's just like having fun and jumping around and being funny is also really fun.
Yeah, it's like a nice change.
There's Freddy with his nail techs, his hat, his baby souls, and his nails. All right, everyone, have a good night. I'm gonna go eat.
Sounds
Bye.
good. Bye.